Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are well and I hope you guys are staying safe. If you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you don't miss out on all the awesome content that I have for you. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a fitted sheet or a crib sheet. So basically, it's one of those kind of bed sheets that you see that have elastics underneath and they fit really well. I personally prefer fitted sheets, so I'm going to be showing you how to make it. It's a really easy project that you can do at home and save yourself some money. So to do this, you need the following items. Number one, a ruler. Now you don't necessarily need a ruler, but I recommend having a ruler. So I'm using my pattern master because it's got straight edges. You'd also need some pins. I've got some pins on my pin cushion. The next thing you need is a drawstring threader, and basically this is so that you can put the elastic into the elastic hole for your fitted sheet. If you don't have a drawstring threader, don't worry about it. Your safety pin would work just as well. So you're welcome to get any size of safety pin, preferably something bigger as you're going to be pushing through a long loop. That's some more pins. You also need your snips or small scissors. You need your measuring tape, of course. So whether you measure in centimeters or inches, you need your measuring tape. You need your fabric scissors, and this is because you're going to be doing not a lot of cutting, but you're going to be cutting. You need your tailor's chalk or fabric marker. And you need your seam ripper as well. This is in case you need to take out seams. You may not necessarily need it. You need your elastic. Now for the elastic, I recommend that your elastic should only be about 1 centimeters wide. If you can, if you have no option and you're left with like a 2 centimeter elastic, that's fine, but I'll say that limit it to a width of 1 centimeter, which is what I have here. You'd also need a paper for you to do your calculations on. I'm also going to illustrate on the paper really. And also you have like your fabric. So this fabric I'm using, I've got 3.5 yards, but to be fair, I didn't end up using everything and I had enough to make maybe 3 pillowcases, I should say. However, I recommend having 3 yards minimum. Now the problem with this fabric is the length of this fabric was 100 and I probably needed a bit more, but I made it work, so I had to cut on the yard instead. To get started, the first thing you want to do is you want to measure your mattress. So we're going to assume that this is the mattress that we want to measure. The first thing you want to do is you want to take the length measurement, which is basically the measurement across the longer area. Then you want to take the width measurement, which is basically the measurement across. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to take the height measurement, just like I'm showing you. So we're going to do this for the mattress, although I'm doing it on a book first. So again, you want to take the length measurement first, then you want to take the width measurement. Because you can't see the whole length, I decided to skip that, but I showed you the width measurement, so that's the width measurement. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to take the measurement for the height. For this, you might need to lift up your mattress and then you might get some help. As you can see, it was a bit of a struggle, but you want to go ahead and take the right height measurement as well. Now that I have all my measurements, I go ahead and write it on a piece of paper so that I have it intact. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to know the formula of the calculation. As you can see, the shorter area is the width, so I go ahead and do width, and then the longer area is the length, so I go ahead and put length. And I'm going to put the formula for the width and the length. Now this formula is something that I use and it works for me. You're welcome to tweak it as much as you need depending on what your results are. And for me, what I use to find the width is the width measurement plus height measurements times 2 plus an extra 10 inches. And for the length measurement plus height measurement times 2 plus an extra 10. Now how does this work? So you have the length measurement across, the height that goes on both sides, and then a bit that comes under. So the 10 inches covers for the bit that comes under, as well as the little that you need to make the elastic loop or hem it so that you have space to pass the elastic. That's what the 10 inches accounts for. So basically, using the formula, the width measurement plus height measurement times 2 plus 10 inches by the length measurement plus height measurement times 2 plus 10 inches will give us what we need. So again, height measurement, width, height measurement, and then a bit for under. That's how I came about the measurement. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Let me know in the comment section. Now for my mattress, I'm writing out the measurements that I have. Also, if you know the kind of mattress that you have, you can actually Google the dimensions. If if it's a pain measuring it, you can as well just Google the dimensions. So applying the formula that I have, I'm going to figure out the measurements that I require. And for me, I found that I needed a width of 66 inches and a length of 106 inches. So my fabric will be 106 inches by 66 inches. That's my fabric. Now, before we go over to my main fabric, I'm going to show you an illustration with a smaller fabric. Let's assume that we have a width of 10 inches, length of 20, and height of 2 inches. I insert the values into the formula. So the formula for the width is width plus height times 2 plus 2, and then length plus height times 2 plus 2, and I get my dimensions. Using the dimensions, we're going to cut out a piece of fabric. Alright guys, so before we move to the real deal, I'm going to go ahead and show you with this demo fabric, and the dimensions that we need is 26 inches by 16 inches. So again, remember that this is a demo. You're probably never going to make a crib sheet that is going to be this small. I just want you guys to understand the principle before we apply it to the main fabric. Also, when I'm doing the main fabric, because it's so large, the camera angle would not be able to pick it up, which is why I'm showing you with this demo. So go ahead and cut out, your main fabric using your main measurement. Again, this is a demo, so don't use the measurements here. So this one, I'm doing 16 inches by 26 inches. Now, after cutting out my pieces, I go ahead and check that my measurement is fine. And based on this, I can see that my measurement is fine. So I have 26 inches on the length and 16 inches on the width. You should essentially have a rectangle if you've done it properly. After confirming that all measurements are fine, go ahead and fold your fabric into two so that the folded edge is opposite you. So as you can see, the folded edge is opposite, and then the two separated edges are closer to me. Then you want to go ahead and mark the height measurement. So you want to mark the height measurement vertically first, and then you want to mark it horizontally as well. To be fair, it doesn't matter which you mark first, but you want to mark it so that you get a square. So as you can see, I went ahead and mark it horizontally first, and then I marked it vertically so that the two measurements meet, and I kind of drew a square. So again, in case you missed that, I'm going to do it on the other side as well. Now remember that you want to do this while this is folded, and you want to make sure you're doing it on the separated side. So you go ahead and mark your desired height. So if your height is 10, if your mattress height is 5, your mattress height is 15, whatever the height is, you go ahead and mark that out, and then you form a box, which is what I'm doing right now. So after doing that, you want to cut it out. So as you can see, like I said, this is just a demo, and you should have something that looks like this. This is the shape that you should have. Now again, if your height is a lot more, it will be bigger, but remember, like I said, this is a demo, it's not realistic. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the main fabric and get started. Again, for the main fabric, remember that the measurement that I need is 66 inches by 106 inches. So I went ahead to cut it out, and after cutting it out, I went ahead to confirm my measurement on camera. So as you can see, I went ahead to cut it out, and I folded into two. So the part I folded into two, I should be getting 53 inches, right? So I'm doing the width first, and the width should be 66 inches. So as you can see, it's a little bit more, but it's fine. I think I kind of left it intentionally, really. And then for the other part, which is the length, is folded into two. I went ahead to measure it, and I had 53 inches. I had 53 inches because it was already folded into two. So if I open it up, it would have been 106. So after confirming that my measurements are fine, I was happy. So again, let me just say that this measurement should be peculiar to your mattress size as well. Remember that I'm working with a mattress size of 66 by 106 after inserting the values into the formula. Go ahead and lay it flat on the table with the separated edges facing you. Then you want to go ahead and start drawing your square. To draft your square, you want to measure your height. And whether you start horizontally or vertically is up to you. I'm starting horizontally, and I go ahead and mark my height all the way till I feel like, I've covered about 10 inches. And then you want to repeat the same thing vertically. So I don't know if I said horizontally or vertically, but you guys get the gist, right? Now, when you're done, you take your ruler, and then you go ahead and draw your square. So this is where a ruler is useful. You go ahead and draw it out. Now, you can cut this with your pair of scissors, or if you have a rotary cutter, it works better. I went ahead to use a rotary cutter, and as you can see, I was feeling like I had straight hands. Wait till you see the other part, guys, where I mistakenly cut off my whole fabric. After cutting out this side, this is what it looks like. So we're going to go ahead to the other side, flip it on the other side, and then make sure you straighten it. After flipping it, you want to go ahead and lay it flat on the table. Make sure there's nothing underneath so you don't mistakenly cut out your fabric. And then you want to repeat the same process of marking out the height. So again, you want to mark the height horizontally and vertically so that you form a square. After marking all the points, go ahead and trace out the square using your ruler or your pattern master if you're like me in this case, and then go ahead and trace it out. Then you want to make sure that you cut. Now, ideally, I recommend also using your pattern master as a guide if you're using a rotary cutter, right? It helps you to avoid mistakes. So if you see what I'm saying, basically, when it was time for me to cut, I put my pattern master there and I literally cut next to it. And then for the other side, I was going to do the same thing, but I think I put it on the opposite direction. I should have put the pattern master on the other side, you know, where I wanted to save, as opposed to the side I was cutting off. But as you can see, I got a bit, you know, scissors happy, and I kind of just snipped off the wrong way. But it's okay. When I had to trim it off, it didn't, you know, it didn't affect it too much. So now that all the pieces have been cut and everything is ready, it is now time to sew. To sew the fitted sheets, we're going to be employing the French seam method. So you want to go ahead and, you know, pinch the corner where you cut it off together. And on the right side, you want to go ahead and pin it from the corner all the way to the hem. You want to make sure that you pin as much as possible if you need to. And then you want to go ahead and sew as thinly as you need to sew. So if you can sew on 1/4 of an inch or like less than 1/2 centimeter, that is absolutely perfect. You want to repeat this for all sides as well. So go ahead and do that for all the 4 sides. You can pin it in place and then you just do your sewing at once. After sewing, this is what it looks like. And like I said, if you went ahead to do about 1/2 inch or 1/4 of an inch, you can trim it off so that it's just less than 1/4 of an inch. So as you can see, I went ahead to sew thinly, so I didn't need to trim it out. Now, to finish off your French seam, you want to go ahead on the wrong side of the fabric of where you just sewn, and then you want to go ahead and pin it in place, and then you'll be sewing another stitch starting from the top all the way to the hem. So this is essentially a French seam. You start sewing on the right side and then you finish off on the wrong side. So what this does is that it encapsulates or it encloses the stitches and it makes it look neat. And that way, especially with a fabric like this that is fraying, your fabric keeps longer and it stops fraying. So go ahead and do this for all the sides. As you can see, this is what it looks like after finishing a French seam. Everything looks neat and tidy. When you're done with this, the next thing you want to do is you want to hem this so that you can make your elastic hole or your elastic, loop. And to hem this, I basically fold 1/2 inch twice. So you want to make sure that you mark the part that you start from with a pin. And if it's convenient for you, you can pin your way all the way around. But remember that this is going to be a long sewing stretch because you're going to do this all the way around the length of the machine. So as you can see, guys, I'm here sewing, and I think I was watching a movie at the same time because, like I said, it's a lengthy one. But while sewing, it's important that you leave a gap unsewn. So I'll say a gap of about 1 inch. You don't sew it, and this is so that you have space to pass your elastic into the bed sheet. So leave a gap of about 1 inch unsewn and mark the part that you leave a gap. For me, I decided to put a pin in the spot where I left the gap so that I can recognize that this is where I've left a gap so that I can find it later. Alright guys, so after sewing, this is what it looks like, and as you can see, this is what I was saying about me putting a pin in the gap, and that's the gap that I've left. So now I've gone ahead to finish sewing it. Again, by the way, if you're sewing and it helps, you can go ahead and iron it before sewing if that helps you. I didn't really need to, so I just went ahead to sew direct, but if it helps you, go for it. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to measure the entire circumference so you know what you're dealing with. So you mark a starting point again, and then you go ahead and measure all around. The importance of this is so that you know how much elastic to use, and also this has to do with your elastic as well. So certain types of elastic are a bit more stretchy than others, and others are not as stretchy. So the first thing, like I said, you want to do is measure the entire circumference of your fitted sheet. After measuring the entire circumference of your fitted sheet, you also want to measure your elastic. Now, if your fitted sheet was a circumference of about 360 inches, I would say start with an elastic of 180 inches. That's at least half of it. Now, I say this only because for me, I did a test on my elastic. So I cut out an elastic that was 10 inches and I stretched it out. And this elastic stretched out to 20, which shows me that the elasticity is 100. It stretches out times 2, right? Some elastic will stretch out times 3, and obviously for that you need a lot less. But because of mine stretched out times 2, I decided to go with half of my circumference measurement. So in the case where the circumference is 300, I went with 150. For this, my circumference was, I think it was 360 if I remember correctly, but I'm not too sure. It's 380. So I think I went with one. To be fair, honestly guys, I don't remember at the moment, but you want to go ahead and take about half or 1/3 depending on how stretchy your elastic is. Then you want to go ahead and attach the elastic onto a pin if a pin works for you. However, I don't really want to use a pin, so I went ahead to use my drawstring threader. So for the drawstring threader, I really don't know how it attaches to the elastic, but I just always manipulate it. So I took out one of it. It comes in different sizes really. I took out one of it and I just attached my elastic to the tip, and then I just began to thread or pass my elastic through the loop. Can I just say that passing the elastic into the loop is an arm workout? I felt like I was lifting weights and I got like some bicep workout. Also, it does take a while, so you want to make sure that you're entertained. So maybe listen to some music or like watch something on the side while you do this. So you want to take your time and just pass it through. And obviously you want to make sure that you remember to ease it on the other end because it tends to bulge up at the other end. So while you're passing, you want to make sure that you're spreading and you're evenly distributing the elastic. You also want to make sure you want to pay attention to the elastic so that it doesn't disappear into the bedsheet totally. So that's the elastic on the other end of the threader. You want to make sure that it doesn't disappear into the bedsheet, because that will be a problem and you have to loosen it, and yeah, we don't want that. So go ahead, take your time and pass it. As you can see, it took me some good time, so I just went ahead to take my time and I enjoyed it. As you approach the end, it's important that you stretch out any bulges that you might have and stretch out your elastic, and then you finally pull out your safety pin or your drawstring threader at the end where you inserted the elastic from. So when you do this, obviously you should know how much you need by this time. You might have extra, which in my case I had quite a lot of extra elastic really. But before you cut it off, it's always better to have extra than not have enough elastic. So before you cut off the extra elastic, you can go ahead and tie them together and try it on your bed. So that's what I did. I went ahead to tie it together and I tried it on my mattress, and I saw that I was happy with the results, so I was more than happy to cut off the extra elastic that I have. So I didn't end up using half of my circumference measurement. I probably used a little bit less than that, but at least I used almost half of it really. So at this point, I was just spreading out the elastic because there were certain areas that are a bit more bulgy, and you want to make sure that it's evenly distributed. Now, when you're happy with the fit of the elastic and you're really, you're happy with what you have, you can go ahead and cut off the excess elastic. After cutting off the excess elastic, you want to go ahead and close your elastic. To close your elastic, you want to stitch it together, and I prefer to place one on top of the other and then sew it in place with a zigzag stitch. I recommend a zigzag stitch because that would maintain the elasticity of the elastic band. So go ahead and use a zigzag stitch. And at this point, guys, you want to go ahead and close the little gap that you left so that you could pass your elastic. And guys, that's basically it. At this point, your elastic is finished. Ignore my messy room, guys. I was just showing you guys the bed sheets, and obviously I have some fabric left over, which I intend to use for my pillowcases. So if you would like a video on pillowcases, let me know in the comment sections below, and I'll be very happy to do one for you guys. Alright guys, we've come to the very end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys do try it out. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to leave your comments, suggestions and feedback in the comment section. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next week, or in 2 weeks rather. Bye.